Well, I'm so proud of the Pennzoil team this weekend. I mean, the guys worked and worked and worked. It didn't come easy. We had a lot of trouble. And the guys we just barely made the last couple of rounds because we had so many things broke, little things that pick at you.
But you ran a 492. Let's walk back to the rear of the car. You're not going to like what you see on the left rear tire.
Maybe 16 runs is too many, huh?
16 runs on a set of tires. After Phoenix, here was the standings in top fuel. Amano, Hill, Bernstein, McClenathan, and Scott Coletta.
Remember I told you at Pomona how well Whit Bazemore had run, that great 5.11, only disqualified for crossing the center line and sending John Force on into the final? Well, at Phoenix, you can imagine Bazemore was looking for big things up against Kenji Okazaki. But what he got was another four-wheeled volcano. Watch the Bazemore car here. He can't see. There's flame inside the cockpit, smoke across the center line for the second race in a row. Only this time, who could blame him? Does a good job, though, of getting the car stopped, bailing out. The safety safari immediately on hand to extinguish the blaze. He was okay. I talked with him. You didn't need this.
Well, we don't need it, but, you know, it's part of drag racing. If you have a funny car, it's going to catch on fire sooner or later. And we went all last year without a major incident, and we'll come right back, believe me.
Whit Bazemore certainly was pragmatic about funny car problems. Another guy that had his share of difficulties in Phoenix was Al Hoffman at the wheel of the Blower Drive Service Dodge Daytona. We saw him in round number 2 against John Force.
And Al Hoffman just lives to beat John Force. Every win light is important, but when you get by the two-time Winston champion and the guy, they needle each other back and forth. They have bets. The first one of them that runs 300 has to buy the other a Harley. It goes back and forth, so it's always very interesting when these two get together. He wanted to beat Force, and he did beat Force, but at what a price.
A huge fire for Al Hoffman. The car skated around. He used up every bit of the racetrack and ran out into the desert at Phoenix. The car still blazing away. The safety safari truck catching up to him very quickly. From our vantage point at the television screen, we did not know whether Al Hoffman was inside that inferno. He had gotten out, exited the car under his own power, and ran out through the smoke in the opposite direction. That action in round number 2. In the finals, it was the number 1 qualifier, Cruz Pedregon, beating Jim Epler.
You know, the car broke about 1,100, 1,200 feet again. I don't know what happened to Epler, but we got the win. That's all that matters.
This car coasted to 260 miles an hour.
The point standings: Pedregon, Force, Worsham, Hoffman, and Epler. That after the second race of the year at Phoenix.
In the Pro Stock category at Phoenix, we saw the first real positive sign of the rising career of this young man, the second-generation Johnson out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, son of Warren, who won the opening event at Pomona, as we've already shown you. In the second round, he met up with one of his dad's nemesis, Scott Jeffrey, on in that Dodge. And Kurt Johnson got his really first important win of his budding Pro Stock career at 7:20, but he learned that the shutdown area can be as tough as the quarter mile. Up, up, and away for Kurt Johnson, destroying the Scribner's brothers' car, but he was okay.
Let's take a look at what happened, Steve. As he hit the brakes, the rear wheel locked up, the car came around, and then tried to make like a Winston Cup car. Started to get airborne, it hit a berm, it bounced into the air. The water puddle left after some rains prior to the event slowed it down so that when it went into the tire wall, its impact was lessened considerably. The car bounced back onto all 4 wheels, and the safety safari doing their magnificent job as always. Check Kurt Johnson out. He was loaded into the emergency medical services ambulance, but it was pronounced A-OK, and that was the good news, that he had gone through a very, very difficult set of circumstances.
His dad, Warren Johnson, saw the accident. He was back in the staging lanes, and moments after they loaded Kurt up, he had to face off with Bruce Allen. Did it distract him? Maybe just a little bit. Bruce Allen won it at a 7:24, 190 miles an hour to beat the number 1 qualifier, Johnson.
In the championship round, Mark Powick brought his Summit Racing Oldsmobile to the line to face the Oldsmobile Cutlass driven by Larry Morgan. The Castrol Super Clean car was in the lanes nearest our camera. Powick and the Summit Racing Oldsmobile gave away a bunch at the start, but he had the power to win it by just a few inches.
In fact, the best elapsed time of the event in Pro Stock at 7:20 for Mark.
I like it, man. Number three.
His third national event, and that moved him into the second points position, just behind Warren Johnson, followed by Jeffrey Hunt, Kurt Johnson, and Larry Morgan. That was Phoenix.
And then there was Houston. Everybody wanted to hit Houston in March because the cool weather and the great track provides the best of racing for the Slick 50 Nationals at the Super Track. We were under the lights.
In Pro Stock qualifying, Warren Johnson, far lane. The run of the century. The world's quickest 7:02. Should he be happy? He wasn't.
No, because we actually wanted to just move it down just a little bit. A 7:07, 7:05 would have been really a little bit more to our liking, for the fact that conceivably there's 2 more tracks that the record could be set at this year. 7:02 is going to be awful tough to beat.
That was just about the end of the good for Warren Johnson that weekend, as he was up against Ricky Smith, the guy that he laid away in qualifying, and Smith beat him on a hole shot in the second round. Bob Glidden, though, made it to the finals with a Motorcraft Ford Probe. His competition, once again, the bright purple Castrol Super Clean Oldsmobile of Larry Morgan.
Glidden was just wired to the tree. Watch this leave. 0.04 of a second quicker than Larry Morgan. And Glidden won it at 7:13, 193 miles an hour to Morgan's very game 7:14, 192. They seem to share Bob's victory at the far end of the racetrack. Nice to see. They haven't always been this chummy.
In funny car qualifying, Kenji Okazaki in the near lane learned a valuable lesson at the wheel of the Moon Eyes Dodge. The car nosed over at the finish line and burst into flames. The Japanese national had his hands full.
I was just ready to shut off just before the first ride, and I just saw the fire come out. Boom! That's it. I couldn't see anything.
Boom! Now that's an accurate description.
Then he took off. I said, Kenji, where are you going? He said, far away. Big Jim Dunn.
It just looked like it laid over about halfway down, and that's what I told him. You're going to have to burn a couple times to get the experience knowing what a motor laying over does. And so now he's got that experience. We'll build another one and go. But it'll take him a year to get all the burns and scars everybody else earns. You got to earn it. You can't buy it.
It was at Houston that a sad moment occurred when Maynard Yanks, the crew chief on Chuck Etchel's Dodge Daytona funny car, suffered a brain aneurysm and passed away. Maynard was a former sprint car racer, driver, and of course his main claim to fame was when he wrenched Bruce Larson to the Winston Championship in Funny Car Eliminator. Maynard Yanks, a strong competitor, a man that was missed by everyone throughout the entire 1993 season. Truly a sad moment at Houston.
With tears in their eyes, Chuck Etchels and crew got ready for round number 1 on Sunday in Maynard's honor. They ran a 5:14 in the first stanza, beating Jerry Caminito, only to get beaten by Pedregon on a hole shot in round 2.
In round number 2, Flash Gordon Mineo was in the near lane, Brent Fanning in the far lane, and once again, Mineo burst into flames.
I'd take the name Flash right off the side of that car if it was mine, I guarantee you.
Well, it flashed into a ball of fire, and Gordon was able to get the emergency hatch open, climbed out through the cloud of burning fiberglass smoke, and was able to walk away from the fire, grabbed the front of the body, hoping to salvage something, but it was not to be.
For the first time in 1993, it was John Force alongside Cruz Pedregon. Force, comeback tour 93. Was he up to the challenge? He qualified number 1 at a 5:06. Pedregon with a horrible red light. Left way too early. It wasn't even close. Wouldn't have mattered, though. Force set low ET to 5:04. Can you imagine that you have just run a 5:04?
5:04, I almost thought I lost. His old heap was out there 5 cars, and I said, Forrest, they're going to retire you.
His old heap left a red light.
I didn't know that. I was chasing him down. I didn't know that. But I'll tell you what.
5:04.
I hear it. What is that? Did we hit the record?
Yes.
I'll take it. They can even give it to a truck driver, can't they?
5:04, a new national record, but more importantly for John Force, at that stage of the game, 200 bonus points.